almost better just to leave them on so you don't.
All right, welcome back to Mountain Views. I'm Terry Burden, and I got to tell you guys, after having Keegan Randall on the show last night, an Olympian, three-time Olympian, and having another extreme athlete on the show tonight, I'm hoping that just proximity rubs off a little bit, and so maybe I'll shred a little better this year after spending some time with folks like Matt Philippi. Matt, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me on, Terry.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about some really cool stuff with your charity, and I'm really excited about that. But for folks who may not have seen the show before, seen you before, I'd like to talk about your background in skiing, you know, kind of how you went from being a stoked ground when you were a little kid and just, you know, out with all the other kids to really progressing and getting better and better and getting into competition and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I'm originally from the East Coast and started skiing in Vermont and was on a freestyle team, weekend warrior status, and I went from skiing moguls to hitting jumps and started getting into the half pipe, which is where I sort of thrived as a pro skier, and spent many years in Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine, and then I went to college out in Colorado and skied winters in Breckenridge.
Nice.
And they have a fantastic terrain park and program out there for aspiring park and pipe athletes, and so followed that circuit, the competition circuit out in Colorado for about 5 years. There is where I sort of became pro. The community out there is definitely a lot of strong athletes, strong skiers, and just getting out there every day. And then I moved to Salt Lake City for the last 2 years, and my sort of been shifting focus more towards the powder and bigger mountains, and now I just moved to Wyoming. So started back east and just been progressing west, following the snow and following my passion.
That's cool, man. So tell me a little bit about what it's like to transition from kind of the really hard terrain or the hard conditions of being in the half pipe to totally focusing on powder and really just a different kind of flow and a different kind of energy in your day.
Yeah, it is just a totally different experience. And I've just been following what I've been passionate about for many, many years. I was excited to wake up in the morning, get out to the terrain park, get out to the half pipe, work on tricks with my friends, and live that day-to-day life. And now I'm more focused on being out further back in the mountains in the backcountry, a little more peace and quiet, and more focused on utilizing the terrain in a natural terrain in a creative way. And yeah, it's just, it seems as though there's an infinite amount to do out in the backcountry, out in the mountains. The conditions are changing, the terrain's changing, and just infinite possibilities.
Super cool, man. So let's shift the focus a little bit and tell me how it happened. That I know that you guys have spent time all over the place skiing and filming and doing that kind of thing. And talk about the genesis of going from being a competitor, being a pro, being sort of results focused, to free skiing and then getting into this full circle project, and a little bit of the background of how it came to your mind and that sort of thing.
Well, I'd say that the origin of the idea for the Full Circle Project, the idea to go to communities and give back, originated in all the travel that I was able to do as a competitive skier. You know, we would travel across Europe, Canada, Japan, and the United States, of course. And we travel to these really cool places, really unique, and meet unique people, see really cool places, but never really form that strong of a connection with the place. I always felt like I had this superficial understanding of these places, and I thought, you know, what better way to experience these cultures, these places, these people, than through helping out and giving back a little bit. And I know that the ski community itself is a very able community. We have a lot of resources, and the focus is often, very, very often, on yourself, on whether it's placing well in a competition or being the first one down the slope to get fresh tracks. And so this is sort of a shift away from that and a chance for us to use all the resources that we have to give back.
That's interesting. You know, I was looking at your website and looking at some of your videos this afternoon, and it occurred to me that there's kind of been a shift in terms of whether you call it 20-somethings or extreme athletes or any of those kind of categories, that it used to be sort of almost like a punk rock lifestyle, and there's a lot more people who are concerned at a younger age, like you guys, in giving back and leading a more conscious lifestyle. So if you would tell us a little bit about how your thinking has changed over the years in terms of what your goals are and how the Full Circle projects affects your well-being and your state of being.
Yeah, I think being globally conscious, being aware of what's going on in the world, that's just a natural progression right now with just the communication age, with the internet, and I feel like I've had this opportunity to travel a lot. And for example, where the Full Circles project really started was there was this earthquake in Chile in 2010, and I had been there before skiing a couple of times, and I have some friends there, and this massive earthquake hit, big tsunami, a very tragic disaster, and as a sort of globally conscious person that we all are now with the amount of information that's available to us, I was able to get on the line on Skype with my buddy, figure out what was going on down there, and found out that this idea I've had to give back could really fall into place here if we went down to Chile and did some work and connected with him and his connections down there. And this work that we've done in Chile and then this last summer in Peru has really opened my eyes to or let me say that sort of national boundaries and religious boundaries, I've seen those sort of fade away in my understanding of sort of humankind, and getting out there to different countries and different places and really throwing yourself out there out of your comfort zone and getting to know people and eating their food and listening to their stories and learning their language. It really reminds you that we're all one people, we're all just humans.
So are you seeing other opportunities in the longer term to have activities, have initiatives in different places, or are you just kind of concentrating event by event at this point?
Well, we have been able to open up communications with organizations that run programs and community service work throughout the globe. We are definitely running on an event or sort of trip by trip basis. As a bunch of pro skiers, we only have part of the Northern Hemisphere summer free in our full year, and so that's our sort of limited window in which we can help. And also, as a new organization, we only have the funds really to run a trip a year. We run fundraising throughout most of the year in order to put together this one trip during the South American winter, our summer.
I see. So another thing that was really interesting and super cool to me in looking at your website is that music is a big part of kind of the identity of the Full Circle project. I think it's your buddy Jack,
Yep.
Who's done a lot of songwriting and that sort of thing. And tell us a little bit more about how music informs what you want to do and how even the people that you're touching when you go to these places.
Well, yeah, my buddy Jack Tolan, he's a musician. He's also a really good telemark skier and has been one of the producers of the show, the producer of the Full Circle project. And it's been nice having him on board because he puts together all the music. He's the music director for all of our movies, all of our webisodes online. So we have an in-house guy who can produce all this music and also really tailor it towards where we're working, the experience that we've had, and that's just a nice thing to have when producing a show. But then music itself has been a nice medium to communicate and share experiences with some of the Peruvians, Argentinians, and Chileans that we've got to hang out with. We bring down instruments with us when we go, and it's fun to just jam out with some people that you haven't really met before and maybe have trouble communicating with using their language, but you can sort of open up via music, and that's been a really fun experience as well.
Right on. There's so much positive to talk about, and we have a lot of different types of charities and people that are doing great philanthropic efforts on the show, and the more that we do these types of interviews, I get more and more of a sense of there's kind of a lot of competition out there for people's dollars to donate and time to be involved and that sort of thing. So I was just curious, as somebody who's really started from an organic level and just, you know, feeling like you needed to do something, kind of what are some of the frustrations that you've had and things that have been difficult for you to actually be able to have events and that sort of thing?
You know, I really haven't had too many frustrating experiences. You know, there are a lot of philanthropic projects going on out there, but I feel like the Full Circle Project is quite unique, you know, in that it's a combination of skiing and volunteer work, and it's a group of skiers working together. And in light, well, it seems as though that we haven't had much competition, and that our experience has been pretty positive, because people that we've been able to connect to and be able to tell about our project are intrigued, and yeah, there's many other organizations like ours out there, from what I can tell.
Good for you. So we need to wrap it up. We've got to go to a commercial break, but before I do, I wanted to give you one last chance to tell folks your website and events and that sort of thing, and just give us the last bit.
Well, yeah, our website is thefullcircleproject.com, and there's all sorts of information about our project from Chile. The Peru video and information about the Peru project will be coming up in the next month or so. Mm-hmm. And right now, donations can't be made because we're putting together pieces for next year's project. But very soon, you'll be able to make donations online toward next year's project, and we'll also have an explanation of how you can get involved in Peru, where we were this last summer. If people get motivated and like what they saw from our Peru videos, we'll tell you who to get in contact with and how you can go down to Peru and continue on with the same sustainable agriculture project that we started. So, you know, definitely one of our goals is to motivate other people to get involved.
Excellent. Matt Philippi, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for telling us about Full Circle Project. We're going to be right back after this break with more music with Mark Dago, a little weather with me, more. So stay tuned.